Hey friends, it's Homer, and we just got a full deck reveal of Living Energy, which is a Teamer artifact energy deck. This is one of the two commander precons coming with Aetherdrift, with the next one being revealed tomorrow. So in this video, we're going to check out the full deck list, starting with the 10 brand new cards that are exclusive to the commander deck. Then we'll check out the rest of the deck, the reprints, and we'll end things with initial impressions of the precon. And if you want to pre-order this sweet new precon, you can do so over at our sponsor, cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. All right, we kick things off with the face commander of the precon, Saheeli, Radiant Creator. It's a 4-mana Teamer, 4/4 legendary creature human artificer. Whenever you cast an artificer or artifact spell, you get an energy counter. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay 3 energy. When you do, create a token that's a copy of target permanent you control, except it's a 5/5 artifact creature in addition to its other types and has haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. So the face commanders kind of tell you what the precon is all about. And in this case, it's a Teamer deck that cares about casting artifacts, and then you'll get energy, and then you can spend that energy for value. That's basically the precon. So the idea here is we slap down Nahiri as early as possible, then just start casting artifact and artificer spells, generate a bunch of energy, and then start copying the best permanents we have on the battlefield to reuse enter the battlefield triggers or leave the battlefield triggers, sacrifice triggers, and start smashing people in the face with 5/5 artifact creatures. It's kind of like the Teamer energy version of Mishra. And when I say it's a comparison to Mishra, I think Saheeli might actually be even stronger than Mishra. Yes, she requires you to spend energy, but she's in green instead of Grixis, which I think is just a stronger color combination in Commander. She costs less mana, and she can copy any permanent, not just artifacts. Though, if you are in an artifact deck like Saheeli kind of wants you to be, chances are you're going to be copying artifacts anyway. But the fact is, you can copy anything, which opens the door to even more crazy things to copy. I've seen a lot of Mishra out in the wild to know exactly how powerful a commander like this can be, so I expect Saheeli to be very much a kill-on-sight commander, a huge value engine, really, really fun to play. Now, the secondary commander I have less nice things to say about. This is Nalaar, Chief Mechanic. It's a 3-mana Teamer, 2/4 legendary creature human artificer. Whenever one or more artifact creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you get 2 energy counters. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1 or more energy. If you do, create an XX colorless vehicle artifact token named Nalaar Aetherjet with flying and crew 2, where X is the amount of energy spent this way. So Pia can be a pretty significant energy generator for the deck. If you have 3 opponents and you manage to hit each of them with an artifact creature, which is a big hoop to get, you get to get up to 6 energy counters per combat, which is pretty significant. But then again, you do have to hit each of your opponents with an artifact creature to do so. Still, I mean, up to 6 energy per swing is pretty good. Even if you're getting like 2 to 4 energy per swing, that's still quite significant on a 3-drop. And then it does have a little bit of a payoff. You get to make vehicles. They do have flying as well, so they count as artifact creatures when they're crewed. They have evasion, so they can also generate energy with Pia's own ability too, so it kind of feeds into each other, both abilities. But still, compared to Saheeli, which is like Mishra tier level of powerful, Pia is very much more subdued, I would say, much more chill. And yeah, it's okay, I guess. It's if you want to be like energy focused, but also aggressive focused, I guess Pia Nalaar might be a more suitable candidate for you. And if you just don't want to be as kill on sight as the new Saheeli, I guess you could just run Pia Nalaar instead. The other new cards we're going to be checking out, we start with Pima Trailblazer. This is a 3-mana green creature elephant warrior. It's a 3/3 with trample. And whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you gain that many energy. And it has exhaust, which is a new mechanic with Aetherdrift. You can pay 6 energy, put 2+1/+1 counters on this creature, then draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. Activate each exhaust ability only once. So you can only activate an exhaust ability once per time it's on the battlefield, but this deck has ways of like blinking creatures and resetting the exhaust. Like Saheeli, for example, if you make a copy of Pima Trailblazer and you start smashing in for it, it's not only it's going to be a 5/5 instead of a 3/3 baseline, but then you can also exhaust the token before you have to sacrifice it. But yeah, this creature is a house in an energy deck. It's a very powerful energy generator. Like it's already smashing for 3 damage. So if your opponents don't block, that's 3 energy just by itself. But then on top of that, it has that really powerful exhaust feature. You pay 6 energy, you grow this creature, and then if that creature's still on the battlefield, I mean, you're going to draw at least 5 cards. But if you have something bigger on the battlefield, then you get to draw even more cards. I mean, drawing that many cards, even 3 or more, or 5 or more rather, is awesome. It requires no mana, and energy decks generate a lot of energy pretty efficiently. So paying 6 energy for this ability is pretty easy. The fact that you can just like drop this down, you probably have like 6 energy just floating around at any given time. You can immediately exhaust it, draw 5 cards for 3 mana, and then start smashing in with a 5/5 trampler that generates even more energy for you. Like this card is gas. This card is really, really strong. Great energy generation, great card draw, just and a great beater. It has it all. Next, we have Stridehanger Automaton. This is a colorless 3 mana artifact creature construct. It's a 1/4. It says Thopters you control get +1/+1. And if 1 or more artifact tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus an additional 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying are created instead. Wow, this card is also fantastic. It also kind of plays on the sub-theme of this deck that we're going to be seeing in the rest of the decklist. It has a bit of a Thopter sub-theme, but even without the Thopter sub-theme going on here, this is a 3-drop that very efficiently generates a ton of extra Thopter tokens, which themselves are artifact tokens as well. They're all 1/1 flyer fodder, but then they also get a little bit stronger as long as the automaton on the battlefield. They become 2/2s instead of 1/1s. This card is not just good in energy decks, obviously it has nothing to do with energy rather, but it's good in any artifact deck that generates tokens very efficiently. Ideally, if they do it 1 by 1. So, for example, if you are in a treasure deck like Prosper, I could actually see this being a useful card in the 99. Prosper makes treasures 1 at a time and does it a lot, so you could generate a lot of tokens, Thopter tokens passively with this 3-drop. Or you could do stuff like, if you're a food deck, for example, if you're like in a Sam deck, where whenever you're playing a creature, you make a food. Well, the automaton is a creature, so enter the battlefield. If Sam's on the battlefield, you make a food, but then you also make a Thopter, and then you can just pop off like this too. Maybe like Lonus 2 as a clue deck. This has a lot of homes in it. I think it's the best in like investigate, like clue, foods, treasure decks, but also any sort of artifact deck might be interested in this. Next, we got Nissa, World Soul Speaker. This is a 4 mana green legendary creature elf druid. It's a 3/3 with landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, get 2 energy counters. Nice. And you may pay 8 energy rather than pay the mana cost for permanent spells you cast. Wowzers. So like I said, energy decks are really good at generating energy, and this deck definitely capitalizes on that, especially with the new cards. The new cards are really pushed in terms of how much energy they can generate every single turn. Nissa, like, you play a land drop, you just passively make 2 energy. If you have like fetch lands or whatever, you're making like 4 energy per turn off each additional land. If you have any sort of like land ramp, just so much energy. And then you can obviously utilize that energy to ramp out huge haymaker spells like an omniscience or whatever. Who cares? So yeah, this card is great. It's just a slam dunk for an energy deck in particular. Yeah, nice. Then we got Rampaging Aetherhood. It's a 5 mana green creature snake hydra. It's a 4/4 with trample ward 2. At the beginning of your upkeep, you get an amount of energy equal to the creature's power. Then you may pay 1 or more energy. If you do, put that many +1/+1 counters on this creature. Now again, this is another great energy generator. On your upkeep, if you just untap with this, you're going to make 4 energy counters as long as it's a 4/4. Then you can dump a lot of energy into this Trampling Ward 2 Hydra, smash for a lot of damage, and then the following turn, it will generate even more energy for you. So this is the type of beater type finisher type card you really want to see. I mean, it really wants to have like haste, so I can start smashing in immediately, but it generates energy, but it also furthers the game plan of just killing your opponent. So it's a win-win either way. I really like this card too. Then we've got a new dragon. It's a cat dragon. That's cute. Territorial Aetherdrift is a 6-mana red creature cat dragon. It's a 6/5 with flying and haste. And when this creature enters, you get 2 energy counters. Then you may pay 1 or more energy. When you do, this creature deals that much damage to each other creature. So enters the battlefield. It's a nice energy dumper. It generates a little bit of energy, but the main idea is if you have a bunch of energy laying around, this is a cute little thematic board wipe. It will get rid of most of the other creatures. It will hit your own creatures, by the way. It's only to each other creature, so it could hit your other creatures. But it's like a very efficient board wipe on an ETB. You clear out the rest of the table. And then you're smashing in with a 6/5 flyer, which is quite nice. And it works very well with our main commander, Saheeli. You can like copy it, maybe like just spend 1 energy, take out like small creatures or whatever, and you're smashing it for an additional like 5 damage in the air. So yeah, this is a cute card. It's very thematic. It's a interesting style of board wipe for energy decks. Next, we've got Adaptive Omni Tool. This is a 2-mana colorless artifact equipment. A equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. Whenever a equipped creature attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order, and it has equip 3. So in this deck, you have to pay 5 mana to cast this and first equip it. Then your equipped creature gets big. I mean, this is an artifact deck. You're generating you're casting a lot of artifact cards, but also you're making artifact tokens of like the Thopters and stuff. So it's pretty easy to expect to have like 10 or so artifacts on the board, and then like casually just get something +10/+10 and start smashing with that. But then on top of that, not only is it a big smashy finisher type card, but also whenever the equipped creature is attacking, you can generate card advantage. As an artifact deck, you're looking 6 cards deep. You're very likely to find at least 1 artifact to put into your hand, which is quite nice. So it's a nice mixture of finisher and card advantage. So it's good like mid game and also late game, obviously. 5 mana is a lot. Like the equip 3 is expensive, but you're getting good bang for your buck, really. Then we've got a new mana rock. It's Etheric Amplifier. It's a 3-mana colorless artifact. You can tap it, add 1 mana of any color, and you can pay 4 mana and tap it, choose 1, activate only as a sorcery. So you can double the number of each kind of counter on target permanent, or double the number of each kind of counter you have. So I expect that in this deck, it's going to be particularly useful for the secondary ability, where you're an energy deck. So if you're like stockpiling, I don't know, at least like 5 energy on you at any given time, paying 5 mana and doubling the amount of energy you have can be quite tasty, especially if you're like in like 10 energy or something. You go to 20, so you gain 10 energy from its ability. That's quite nice. I really like these type of flexible mana rocks where early on you just want to ramp, obviously, and it's an artifact, so it generates an energy of Saheeli's Order on the battlefield. But it mana fixes, it ramps for you, and then late on, you can utilize it to generate a ton of energy. The other ability, there is some +1/+1 counters going on in this deck, so you might be able to get lethal, if you double the amount of +1/+1 counters on a creature or something like that. But I think it's mostly the secondary ability, and it's most useful in the energy deck, obviously. Next, we have, Aetherflux Conduit. It's a 6-mana colorless artifact. Whenever you cast a spell, you get an amount of energy counters equal to the amount of mana spent to cast that spell. And you can tap it, pay 50 energy, draw 7 cards. You may cast any number of spells from your hand without paying their mana costs. Okay, so this is a really cool card that has a really flashy ability, obviously, drawing 7 cards and then having basically omniscience for the end of your turn, or for that turn, is very exciting. But mid-game, like you play relatively early and you just generate a bunch of energy counters, right? You put it on the battlefield, you you cast like a 5-drop or something like that, you make 5 energy. It is kind of slow going in terms of generating energy, but we've seen other cards already, the new cards, generate so much energy so quickly. And we also just saw that mana rock that doubles the amount of energy. I think it's quite reasonable to get to 50 energy counters. I don't think it's going to happen every single game, but when you do manage to pull it off, it's going to be very exciting. The primary purpose of this card, though, is the first triggered ability. It's just it's a 6-drop, so it shows up relatively late, but once it does show up, it's going to be a massive energy generator. You just continue playing the game, and you'll generate a ton of energy, and then eventually, hopefully, if it lasts on the battlefield long enough, you can live the dream, draw 7 cards, and just cast Vomit out your hand and have a great old time. Okay, so those were the new cards. There are 10 exclusive cards to the precon. Now we're going to check out the rest of the deck, the reprints. And I always start with the most expensive reprints, the top 4 most expensive reprints in the precon. Obviously, these are pre-sale prices. You can definitely expect all the reprint cards in this precon to go down in value by the time they hit the shelves. Probably like by 50%, I would assume. I don't know. We'll see. But the reprints here are actually quite significant monetarily. Academy Ruins is a great card in any artifact deck. It's just nice recursion on a land. Elder Gargaroth is a weird one here. It has nothing to do with artifacts or energy. I feel like it's just like a random expensive card that they threw in here. It is a nice card to copy with Saheeli, but you could say the same for more thematic cards for sure. Then Retrofuter Foundry is I wouldn't say it's good here, but it is interesting. I think it's like Legacy Play or something, so it's a relatively expensive reprint here. I think the card that I'm most excited for in this particular deck is Conjurer's Closet. There is a bit of a Blink sub-theme going on. It is also an artifact, and it's just a really efficient way of continually blinking every single turn. And it's currently $8. I would say overall, the reprint value of this deck is quite high going into it. I believe like the deck list on MTG Goldfish was like over $110. So we'll see how much you can actually buy this deck for. But at least looking from the reprints, there's some expensive ones monetarily, which is nice. Okay, now we're going to check out the rest of the 99. We're going to be starting with creatures, then we're going to be checking out like, instant sorceries, artifacts, enchantments, and then finally lands. And we're going to be starting from the lowest mana value and working our way to the highest mana value. So first we got like Loyal Apprentice. It makes an artifact. It makes a Thopter. That's kind of nice. Then we got Omnithopter of Paradise. It's a Thopter mana dork, which is also cute. Reckless Fireweaver is a great finisher in any sort of artifact deck. That's cool to see. Servant of the Conduit is very cool. I like that a lot in an energy deck. Architect of the Untamed is also very cool. I mean, it's a little bit overshadowed by the new Nissa, but it is a very cool way of generating energy. And it's like one of the few cards here that we can see that like kind of justify going into green for energy. So I like seeing it. Rogue Refiner, another really good card. Psy Master Thopterist. There's a little bit of Thopter sub-theme going on, and obviously it's an artifact deck too. Whirler Virtuoso. I hope I said that right. Makes energy, ETB's energy, so it's a good blink target, makes more Thopters. It's all right. Druid of Purification is a great card, and it's also relatively expensive too. I feel like it's a little bit underplayed just because of its price, right? Like, if it was the same price as a Reclamation Sage or something, I think it would see way more play than it currently does. But it's always quite high price because it's very good. Pimera Aetherseer, it's pretty strong, really great energy generator. Pia Kira Nalaar, not very great in any deck. I don't think the activatable is a little bit too expensive. Does a little bit too little damage, but whatever. It's thematic. Solemn, always love to see it. Whirler Rogue, quite nice to push damage through, especially because we have some really big beaters. And it puts 2 Thopters on the battlefield. Lightning Runner, one of the best finishers for an energy deck. Just extra turns. Or sorry, not extra turns. Extra combats is always very good. Aethertide Whale, also very good. Just enters the battlefield, generates lots of energy, and is a good blink target. Combustible Gearhawk, talking about blink targets, quite nice. Duplicant, also nice removal. Ether Squall Ancient is a nice thematic way of wiping the board. Either Wind Basker is lots of energy, and it does a lot of damage. Yep. It's pretty good. And Triplicate Titan is another really expensive reprint that I'm happy to see here. It's an artifact deck. You want to be ramping into huge artifact beaters, and this one is a really cool artifact beater. Then we got a Planeswalker, just one, Saheeli Sublime Artificer, so thematic, and whenever you're casting non-creature spells, you're generating a bunch of artifact tokens, quite nice. Attuned to Ether, just very solid. I think it was banned in Standard, but yeah, there's a nice little mana fixing, also generates energy. Only a single counter spell in the deck. It's Arcane Denial. It's one of my favorite counter spells in Casual Commander. So it's cool to see here. I wish there was like 2 or 3, but it's fine. Reality Shift, nice spot removal. Chaos Warp, nice spot removal. Disallow. It's thematic because it's from Kaladesh, but I wish it was a different counterspell. Oh wait, so then there's actually 2 counterspells. I got it wrong already. Oh no. Okay, so there were 2 counterspells. I just don't like the second one. That's what I meant. 1 board wipe with Chain Reaction over here. Explosive Vegetation is okay. Glimmer Genius is okay. One with Machine can draw a ton of cards. Confiscation Coup is a nice thematic control magic effect with energy. Then we got some artifacts. Soul Ring, obviously. Soul Guide Lantern is nice graveyard hate. You gotta respect it. Arcane Signet. By the way, these are not going to be the same arts you're going to be seeing in the pre-con. I should have mentioned that way earlier. There's going to be definitely... all of them are going to be a different set symbol. They're going to be the Aetherdrift commander set symbol, but they're also going to be a lot of different artworks. I'm just using a preset presentation thingy over here, and it generates a random one, I guess, because yeah, you're not getting Earth's mightiest emblem in this precon, I'm sorry to say. Decoction Module is good. Lightning Greaves is funny. The Lightning Greaves just keeps getting reprinted in basically every single precon, and it just refuses to go under $5. It's a classic. It's a really good card. Always happy to see it. I hope they just keep reprinting it forever. Otherwise, it's going to be like a $20 card soon enough. But yeah, good cards. Solar Transformer, thematic ramp, Talisman of Curiosity. It's fine. Chromatic Lantern. Chromatic Lantern probably doesn't need to be here, but it's always a nice peace of mind. This is a precon. It's made for newer players. So it's kind of nice to just not have to think about what all your lands are tapping for, and they just know that you just all tap for whatever mana you need it to be. That's always fun. Commander Sphere's fine. Cultivator's Caravan's fine. Midnight Clock, I think, is overrated, but it's fine. Either Works Marvel, you love to see it. It's one of the best original payoffs for energy decks. Bespoke Battle Wagon does a whole bunch of things for you, which is great. Panharmonicon, you love to see it. Another $5 reprint, by the way. It's great. Bootlegger's Stash is just a late game way of just generating a bunch of artifact tokens. Era of Innovation is nice for energy decks. Thopter Spy Network, playing on the Thopter sub-theme, but also is a nice card draw for the deck. Then we got the lands. Ether Hub, very thematic. Command Tower is good. Evolving Wilds, I wish it wasn't here. I wish it was better land. Exotic Orchard, love to see it. Frontier Bivouac is good. The Snarls, they're fine. We got some check lands, which I'm very happy with. The Hinterland Harbor, love to see the check lands. We also have all the pain lands in Teamwork. Carplusen Forest being the first one, and also being $5, which is really nice. So I love seeing the check lands. I love seeing the pain lands in all these decks. Overflowing Basin, I'm a fan of these, the filter lands. I think they're quite good. I think they're a little bit underrated, but they get the job done very well here. Path of Ancestors is good. Rootbound Crag is good. I love check lands. The cycling lands, and they're fine. There's another pain land with Shivan Reef. Slagwood Bridge is thematic. It's an artifact land. Spire of Industry, great fixing for an artifact deck. Sulphur Falls, great. More artifact lands with Tangle Pool Bridge. The temples, they all just like throw in the temples. Just why not? It's fine, I guess. Treasure Vaults is a nice artifact land. Also, almost like $3. That's for good. The Snarls, fine. And then the final land is Yavimaya Coast. Actually, okay, and then there's a bunch of basics. I think there's like 15 or so basics. But yeah. All right, you can see that the current price, just before before it goes on sale, the pre-sale price, MTG Golf is saying $115, which is quite nice. Hopefully the MSRP is like, I don't know what the MSRP is, actually. I think it's like $50. I hope it's like $50. But if so, then that's good value. Closing thoughts. I think the new cards are very good. I think all of the new cards are very good. I think the secondary commander, Nalaar, doesn't really fit with the deck. And I don't know where it would fit, honestly. It doesn't really excite me personally to build around. But maybe if you want to go teamer vehicles, it could be an interesting choice. I'm not quite sure. The face commander is incredibly powerful. I imagine it's going to be a kill on sight commander, or else it just kind of wins the game very easily, like a Mishra. And then the rest of the deck, there's a lot of cards that I was kind of meh about. I feel like they were a little bit restrained on some of the reprints. There were a couple weird ones too, like the Gargaroth. I feel could have been used differently. You know, it's a $15 card. I wish maybe there was a better $15 card that was reprinted instead. But overall, I think the deck is pretty sweet. Now, the other thing to mention is this is the third energy deck that has been printed in the span of a year. We got last year, the Fallout precons had a Jeskai energy deck. That was the first one. And then we had in Modern Horizons 3, we had another Jeskai energy deck. And now we have a Teamer energy deck. And are they different enough to be worth justifying having the same energy over and over again, especially when they're all blue-red? Like, at least this one's Teamer, it's not Jeskai again. I would say the original one, the Science precon, a lot of people say it's the weakest of the Fallout precons. I think that's kind of true. It's more of an artifact deck than an energy deck. So I kind of feel like it was good to revisit energy as a precon with the Modern Horizons 3 one, which is very, very strong. The one led by Satya, which is like a energy deck first and foremost with an artifact sub theme going on, and it's all about like attacking and making extra copies, and which are going in attacking. And then we got this one, which is Teamer, cast artifacts, make energy, kind of like Science. But then also the payoff for at least the face commander is making copies of your creatures and attacking with them. Well, not your creatures, but any permanents, turn them into creatures and attacking with them, which is very much like Satya. It really feels like they kind of like took the concepts of the previous two energy decks and smushed them together and then just replaced white with green and called it a day. And personally, I'm not very impressed. I feel like if this was the first energy precon and we didn't have, this is not the third one, I would be much more high on this precon. But the fact that it's the third one and it doesn't really feel that different than what came before is kind of a bummer to me. I wish at least they changed the colors. I don't know. Should have been like, I don't know, Golgari energy. I don't know. Make it weird. Make it weird for me. But yeah, whatever. I think as a standalone product, I think it's well designed. I think some of the reprints are a little bit weak, but I think the new cards are really, really cool. I think the face commander is very strong and cool. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what the Esper looting zombies deck will be tomorrow. And if you're excited too, be sure to like and subscribe and just come back tomorrow. I'm going to make a video on it as soon as it's previewed. Okay? All right, that's all I got for now. And until next time, friends, see ya.